and we're back for another episode of the Lakers Fast Break podcast. It's Gerald Glassford coming right back at you here from Lakers Fast Break, Pop Culture Cosmos, Inside Sports Fantasy Football, and Game Source. We truly appreciate everyone out there listening to all of our shows. And if you can, please give us a 5-star review on Apple Podcasts. Plus, if you can like, share, subscribe, follow, or do anything that you can to support us right here at the Lakers Fast Break, Lakerholics.com, and also as well the Hoopheads Podcast Network, it is sincerely appreciated. Well, I don't know what happened to LakerTom tonight. Maybe he got so mad about what happened at the end of tonight's game because it was a terrible and disastrous finish to what should have been a great game and a great day for the Lakers and Lakers fans because LeBron James, he's back as he returned to the lineup today. Oh, there he is. He's coming on now as he returned to the lineup against the Sacramento Kings, but unfortunately, his rustiness did show a little bit, and rightly so, and deservedly so, but he did come in and provide a little bit of lift for the team, and for most of the game, it looked like the Lakers were going to take it, especially taking a double-digit lead going into the fourth quarter, but unfortunately, it was for naught as the Kings came back in the fourth quarter, something that we've seen over the course of the past few days. And unfortunately, it led to the Lakers losing to the Sacramento Kings 110-106. But here today to talk about the game is a full house in honor of the return for LeBron James, because I don't think we would have it under normal Sacramento Kings circumstances. Our four great guests indeed. I'm going to start off with the MagicMan and also our Lakers historian when it comes to everything that's going on at Lakerholics.com. It is Sean Grice, a.k.a. MagicMan. Since you were here, first up, yes, unfortunately, it was a bittersweet day today. And big shout out to DP. Guys, what happened to the Lakers? It was a case of LeBron being a little bit rusty, but you know what? He gave it his all. But unfortunately, there were some others who unfortunately could not do the same as well.
Absolutely, Gerald. It was outside of some bright spots here and there from AD, and Andre Drummond had a nice alley-oop from LeBron, so we saw a glimpse of what they could do. But outside of a few glimpses here and there, it was a disappointing effort and a disappointing game. They came out sluggish again. I mean, I've heard it from Anthony Davis now for 4 days. We need to play with a sense of desperation. We need to play with a sense of urgency. It's just not there. You can't manufacture something like that. It's either there or it isn't. You either have it or you don't. You can't cook it up. And it just isn't there right now. And I'm happy LeBron was back. You're right, he was rusty. He missed a few bunnies. A little tentative here and there, but that's to be expected. You're coming off 20-game rest, so to speak, and I mean, we really needed this game, Gerald, to kind of put the nail in the coffin for that fifth seed. And right now, it's going to be a game of chess because Portland's coming too. We have them coming up, and it's going to be a race to the end, to the very end. It's going to come down to the final day, from the fifth to the I think from the 5th to the 7th spot, it's going to come down to the last day. I think the Grizzlies, the Warriors, and the Spurs are all going to be in the play-in. I don't think any of them are going to get into the top 6. So we're going to see what the last 9 games hold because we need better effort.
We definitely do need a better effort, Sean. I'm very disappointed with that fourth quarter. The rotations, as DP pointed out, just absolutely horrid, extremely poor choices. And I sent LakerTom as far as a chart showing the success ratio of certain coaches on out of bounds plays coming off of timeouts, and unfortunately, Frank Vogel is last in that category. So I don't know what's being done at this point, but there's some issues right now because the Lakers right now find themselves only a half game up, in front of Dallas right now for that 5th spot. It is now nervous time for all Lakers fans because we truly want to go ahead and get in there at least the 5th seed, that would probably be something that we're looking forward to if we can. But at this point, it's going to be very suspect with the way the Lakers are continue playing. But here today to talk about the game, and DP, you're right, Drummond had no effect on inside the court at times. He did block a shot here and there, but and it did provide some good shooting here and there. But I mean, for the numbers that you're getting from him, they're sometimes really kind of empty. And it's just disappointing with what you're seeing overall with that. I'm kind of just seeing that already it's not going to work out long term. But here today to talk about the game as well are 5 things from our good friend indeed. You got to be checking out his 5 things articles that he posts every day or when he can at LakerHolics.com. It is Jamie Sweet, and Jamie, unfortunately, Mr. Admiral Akbar did it again. They set up a trap, and the Lakers and LeBron James coming back fell right into it. Hello, Albert.
Yeah, that was an unfortunate ending to that game. I mean, we picked the worst quarter to put up a less than 20-point effort. Needed 20, 25, 20. 5 more points needed to be squeezed out of somewhere. Or we also picked
to start the fourth quarter off a lot better.
Or the flip side of that is we picked the worst quarter to give up the most points of the game to the Kings. They scored the most points in the fourth quarter, even more than when they were kicking our butts all over the court in the first quarter. We just did not show up with a win the game attitude in the fourth quarter. And I think, MagicMan basically hit the nail on the head. You can't. Intensity isn't something you can manufacture or flip a switch for. You either have it or you don't. And watching these guys joking around, laughing about dropping the ball out of bounds, laughing about blowing multiple fast break opportunities, multiple shots in the paint, multiple wide open looks at the rim. That doesn't say intensity or want to get it done to me. I can assure everyone I'm not a professional basketball player, so maybe there's something else in there that I don't know about. But on the surface, it looks like these guys are kind of just waiting for the end of the regular season and whatever happens, and whoever we play, it'll be fine. I think the Lakers still have a chance to fall out of the 6th spot. We're only 1 game ahead of Portland. And Portland, everybody was calling Portland. Long ago, I developed the same opinion about Dame Lillard that I did about Kobe Bryant. Never write the man off. He can look like he's on his last, tank, molecule of gasoline in the tank, and the man has the heart of a champion. He has never been a champion, but when Rudy Tomjanovich talked about heart of a champion, he's talking about guys like Dame Lillard. And to have a guy that hungry behind you with, the last time we played Portland like that, we were the number 1 seed in the NBA, and they had to play a bunch of games, at that level just to get to the point to play us. Now they're getting to a point where they can pass us. So in a lot of ways, the shoe is on the other foot right here. So yeah, this is a disappointing return for LeBron. I mean, he wanted this game. He wouldn't have, they need to win. It's not like we're sitting on top of the NBA like last time. These are not 2-up games.
Yeah. I mean, these are not the 8 games that we had in the bubble where they looked atrocious, but they were still the number 1 seed going into the playoffs on the Western Conference. So right now, there's actually a new number 1 in the Western Conference with their victory. The Phoenix Suns are now number 1. They have the same record as Utah, but they do win the tiebreaker. So right now, they're ahead in the standings, believe it or not, everyone out there. So, I mean, the Lakers have got to start taking care of this seriously. I'm just very disappointed in their lack of effort. And I know you are too, Jamie. Just very disappointed all around. I mean, I thought that we could go ahead and that LeBron James coming back in the lineup would give them that lift. And it seemingly that was going to take place where the Lakers would go away and pull away in the fourth quarter, especially to a team that has the worst defense in NBA history. Imagine that. And still, those type of issues remain. But here today to talk about the game as well, and obviously a disappointing effort in LeBron's return, is a good man indeed. He's our man from Detroit. It is Mr. LRob. And LRob, I will tell you what, I'm so sorry that on LeBron's return, we could have such a porous effort.
Yeah, that was it went from a thriller to very disappointing. You would get excited when you seen LeBron was going to play. So, but Like Magic Man and Jamie said, you got to come ready to play. You can't fake intensity. And good. Like Lakers need to lose games like this. I mean, this is not a bad thing. It is bad in standing wise, but it's good to let them know they have to come. They have to value possessions. They have to pay attention to detail. Dennis reverted back to how he was playing 7-8 games ago where he was turning it over, being very careless with the basketball, looking for the ref to bail him out. No, dude, play ball, go to the hole strong, make solid decisions, quit turning the ball over. I mean, LeBron, you can give a pass because he's rusty, but yeah, I thought Dennis was really one of the main weak chains in the link today. So that's kind of on him. But the whole team just got to bring a little bit more intensity. And Drummond, a lot of his stats, like I said when he came here, are going to be empty stats. He just I'm hoping LeBron's basketball IQ can rub off on him just a little bit because sometimes he just doesn't make the smart plays. But I think he can be an asset. He can help us, but he's just kind of going to need some help from guys who are used to winning to kind of help bring him along. So disappointing effort, but good. Maybe this is what it'll take to get them kick-started. The other games are more important when you start playing the Phoenixes and you start playing the Clippers and you start playing some of those teams down the road. So get this out of your system, and hopefully when we play in those teams in the next 4 or 5 games, we'll be focused, and now let us know where we're at. So
hopefully they will be.
A little more defense, though. I was encouraged by his defensive effort, particularly in the first half. He seemed to bring a little bit more intensity on the defensive end, which is what I've been wanting to see from him. So that, to me, was a bright spot, too.
Hopefully they will get this out of their system, but these were the games that the Lakers should have won. When you and LakerTom were giving that lofty record to finish out the season, you guys were anticipating them clearing the way with some easy wins along the way.
Absolutely.
And we're not seeing it right now. And that's the problem, because I'm looking at the scoreboard each and every night, and the teams that are supposed to win, they're winning. And the teams that are supposed to be tanking, for the most part, they're tanking. There's very few surprises, although in Boston, they came back from 32 points down with 60 points from Jason Tatum. That was an incredible performance right there. And, of course, I already talked about the Suns and the Jazz with their great game, and the fact that Suns are now number 1 in the Western Conference and overall in the NBA. But here today to talk about the game as well, and the porous effort in that fourth quarter is a good man indeed. He is the mastermind behind LakerHolics.com. He is going to breathe some fire, I imagine, in the next few days over some of these things that we've seen over the course of the past few games now. And he's going to be breathing some fire at LakerHolics.com, plus his Medium.com site as well. It is LakerTom, and LakerTom, great to have you here. You were the last one here, my friend, for once. All 5 of us are here.
I got the notice 1 second before I logged in.
I loved it. I
You're
sent
starting
it out to
without me,
everybody.
Gerald. I think that's kind of tricky.
Yeah, well, no, I sent out to everybody. Maybe talk to your email. But anyways, I'm glad to have you here, my friend. You've got to be disappointed with what you saw in the effort tonight.
I wasn't really disappointed that much. I mean, I kind of suspected as the game was going on that this was going to be one of those games where it was going to come down to a last-minute shot, and you're either going to win it or you're going to lose it. LeBron obviously was a little rusty. You hate to see with 7 seconds left that you take a settled 3 as your chance to tie the game and send it in overtime, and that was definitely a settled 3. What really irritates me more than anything else was you and Lee had it exactly right that everything we get from Andre Drummond is empty. It doesn't really matter and affect the game. He finishes with a -3. Carroll finishes with a -11. Gasol has a +12. Horton Tucker has a +12. McLemore has a +11. We don't even see those 3 guys in the second half. Instead, we close with Drummond, who must have got beaten at least a half a dozen times at the rim. by not even covering guys cutting into the middle and so forth. His defense is atrocious. He's in the wrong spot. Even when he makes a shot, it's sometimes because he takes the wrong kind of shot for the situation, and it luckily goes in. I put this loss on Frank Vogel's head. It's terrible rotations in the fourth quarter. It was just terrible choice of trying to keep everybody happy and give everybody a few minutes instead of saying, hey, this guy plays like crap. This guy's playing good. I'm going to put him back in the game. I'm going to spread the floor out. And instead, we have the same situation that everybody understands with the Lakers. Clog the middle, pack the paint, let them fire away from three if they want to, but don't let them drive down in there. Every time AD gets the ball inside, he's double teamed. Every time Drummond gets the ball inside, he's triple teamed. And we all know what happens when Drummond gets the ball and there's a lot of traffic. This was my biggest nightmare in a sense that I worry that Vogel will continue to try to make his prophecy that AD and Drummond can play together, and he'll waste the next, what do we have, 9 more games left or 10?
Yeah. 9.
9? He'll waste the next 9 games trying to prove that. And I think that that's a stupid move to do. We have 3 centers. We only need 1 more center other than A&D. You're going to take 2 of those roster spots, which are going to put players who produce like Gasol, like THT, like McLemore. You're going to get players who produced when they were in there, and they're not going to get a shot because we're wasting those 2 rotation spots on a couple of centers who basically cannot play well when there is strong elite defense against them. They're going to maybe find some matchup moments when you've got a second string center that Gerald can take advantage of, or a second string center that Drummond can take advantage of. I don't see us meeting anybody in the finals who's going to be a first string center that Drummond can even keep up with. And you've got to make some decisions here. First off, this is not a guy we're going to re-sign next year. He's going to get offers for more than what we can pay him, $10 million. Same thing with Gerald. You're going to waste time on those 2 guys at this point in time when the best option that they have is to go small with AD, or at least spread out and let Gasol be a stretch 5 so that you can have some spacing in your offense and so forth. As for some of the other performances, I mean, I've been holding an article and I've been writing about Dennis Schroeder about how he could be the second coming of Tony Parker. And I've been so embarrassed by his play the last 2 games that I haven't even wanted to release the article, even though he spent a few hours writing the damn thing. I mean, throw the ball away, fall down when you dribble into the key, and then just sit there on your butt while the other team is running down to the other end of the court. Come on, Dennis. If you can't learn to play as well when LeBron and AD are in there, then you're not going to be the point guard of the future for the Los Angeles Lakers. So the good signs, 5 blocks by Anthony Davis, starting to hit his free throws, starting to get his move on the mid-range shots. Good shots that he made consistently. The problem, of course, being that you got Drummond in there taking up room in the key, making it easy to double team him, making it easy to prevent him from having lanes to attack the basket. It's just such a stupid strategy. We didn't win last year by playing big. We won last year by benching all of those bigs that could not do anything to stretch the floor and could not do anything to help play a rapid rotating defense. And now we're sitting here wasting all of this good energy and everything that we've got trying to recreate something to replace a championship pedigree and blueprint that we created last year that is still there and still can win a championship for this team. So,
LRob, well, To say LakerTom might be a little upset might be the understatement of the
He
day.
started off kind of chill there. He said he wasn't
right.
that upset. He's on a roll.
I'm going to go and circle back now, and I'm going to start with LRob. Jamie, I know you were shaking your head at the Tony Parker comment that LakerTom.
That's absurd. He's not. There's nothing in his game that has ever made me think that.
Hold on. Before we return, I want to get LRob in here before you two go at it. All right, Rob. Down, boy. Down. Heel. Okay, there you go. All right.
I was giving him a lighter. I thought I was into it.
Man. Bone here in a second. There you go. All right. Go play with that. But DP, first of all, I want to thank you so much for your great comments. I truly appreciate it. Also, as well, I want to thank Vincent and Albert also for your great comments. Cannot thank you enough for joining us here on tonight's show. It was unfortunately a Lakers loss, 110-106 to the Sacramento Kings. Our next game is Sunday against Toronto, so we'll be back after that game. I will be, again, doing a remote show, so we'll see how that goes. So far, so good. I'm very surprised. Hotel Wi-Fi actually is good for once. Just in awe right now at the moment. But, Rob, I wanted to ask you, well, because believe me, I have had some bad times with hotel Wi-Fi. But
it's all about the access points, baby. It's all about the access points.
This is true. But, LRob, I wanted to ask you this. I mean, you heard LakerTom's passionate pleas to the whole coaching staff to reevaluate the way they go ahead and distribute minutes. I mean, these rotations, as DP was saying earlier, are, it does not have to go ahead and be, okay, we're going to give everybody some time, make sure everything's great, make sure everybody's happy, because these guys are not finding a consistent flow. Kuzma was absolutely awful tonight. I mean, I know DP was talking about it in the chat, and I'm just saying right now, he's a more complete player, but he's a very, very inconsistent one. That's the problem. He doesn't give you the same effort each and every time out. Maybe, I don't know, maybe it's his personal life getting in the way. I'm not quite sure, because he likes to go ahead and be out there and be a celebrity and all that along with it. But I don't know, my friend. There's still a lot of issues on the roster that we need to take care of and iron out while LeBron is getting back to health.
I would agree. I think Tom said it well. You can't please everybody. So some tough decisions will have to be made. I will disagree on as far as playing Drummond and Davis together. I think you got to let those guys play and figure out what they can do together. So that's the only way you're going to figure it out, is by letting them spend time on the court together. So you shouldn't lose to the Kings while you're probing and doing that.
You shouldn't do it at the end of the game.
But you have to figure out, how they will play together. Bottom line is, Drummond will be playing, so you got to figure out how you're going to use him. He's better than Gasol at this point in his career, definitely, and he will be more effective than Gasol. So they got to figure that part out. I don't know what happened to THT. He had a great first half, and maybe somebody tied him up and didn't let him out of the locker room in a second. So yeah, he's got to figure out the rotation. That's some tough decisions.
Well, LRob, this goes back to what I say. When you're dealing with a 20-year-old such as him, I mean, it's a roller coaster each and every day with him. So I'm not surprised.
Yeah. But this was a good game for him, because he's playing.
Especially when he doesn't play well.
Guys, he's doing his things. So he should have played. So
I agree.
Go ahead, Matt. Actually, no, we're circling back, so we're going to go back.
John's got something to say. Let him tack it on. Let him tack it on, man.
All right, go ahead, Matt. Go ahead, MagicMan. But get yourself off of mute first. There you go.
Yeah, Gerald, did you ever see the Mary Shelley's Frankenstein version of the film with Robert De Niro?
Unfortunately, yes.
Yeah. Yeah, I like the comedy one with Gene Wilder better. But anyway, what I was trying to say is, I mentioned earlier today on LakerHolics.com that I thought Vogel was trying to play Frankenstein with the rotations. And what we learned about creating a monster or a golem is that eventually the monster or the golem turns on you, on the creator, whoever created it. We need to get down to a rotation of 8 or 9 guys. I mean, I realize we went for 10, 11 last year, but those were a little different circumstances. You need to just shorten the rotations and be real with people. Marc Gasol was gassed in the second half. We can't have him be gassed in the second half in playoff games. I mean, that's why he couldn't play.
He didn't play
I
in
mean,
the
it
second
wasn't.
half.
Yeah, he didn't even play in the second half.
He didn't play in the second half.
No, he was
Yes, he did.
gassed.
After a plus 12
Yes.
in the first half.
Oh, yeah.
Yeah.
Sure,
He
I can
played
do
in
that.
the second
Yeah.
half.
So I mean, you can't. That's a problem. If he can't go in the second half when you need a stretch 5, and you need him to shoot those threes, that's a problem. Because the reason he didn't play wasn't because of matchups. He was tired. You could see it. I could see it when it was 34-32. Yeah, no, Tom, look back. He was huffing and puffing. He didn't look right.
I'd like to see that somewhere said by somebody else because I disagree with that. I think it was a decision that he wanted to play Harold, and the only reason that he gave Gasol some minutes was because Harold got banged in the face.
And with
then
Harold,
he needs to look
he
at
had
the
he
fact
had-
that we played much better. We came back. We took the lead, and it was all because of
agree.
Gasol spreading the court.
I agree. Mark should be playing more, and he should be shooting more threes.
Yeah, I mean, well, it's something to do that they can spread out. But then again, we get to the point where Gasol's just, and I can't believe I'm saying this about a former defensive player of the year. He's such a liability on defense. That's the problem. I mean, you're going to have to get Anthony Davis playing more games like today on the defensive end just so that they can keep up because he is such a liability there now with his lack of mobility. And that seems to be an issue for the team going forward. But there seems to
He's
be
in
no
the
right
right
answer.
spot most of the time. Drummond can't say that, and Harold can't say that.
There's
They're
just no
always
right
in the
answer,
wrong
Tom.
spot.
There's just no right answer between our center situation other than what you always say is AD needs to
AD
play the
is
5.
the answer.
Yeah, well, I know. Again, this is like, again, beating a drum time in, time out. It's AD. It needs to be at the 5. But right now, we need to ramp it up. We need to ramp up the rotations as far as cutting that down to MagicMan or what LakerTom wants at 8 or 9 players. We need to increase the minutes. We need to start getting serious about it because, as everybody here knows, there's less than 10 games left. So we need to go ahead and start focusing in on finishing the year strong because this is not going to be the la-di-da attitude like they had in the bubble going into the playoffs. So they can't be experimenting and doing all this other stuff that they were doing last year at this time, closing out the season. And they really can't do that because they're not in a position to this time. They're not number 1 in the West. They're number 5. And a reality check is right behind them, a half a game behind them in Dallas Mavericks and 1 game behind them in the Portland Trailblazers. If they want to go ahead and continue this downfall, I don't think that's going to bode well for the team because they'll have a hard matchup in the first round looking smack dab in the faces. And that's not going to be something that's
They might have the Clippers in the first round.
Yeah, so that's going to be something to look at because you talked about how hot Denver was. They've won 8 of their last 9 or 9 of the last 10, and they've done really well. And they're now only a game behind Denver for the 3rd spot.
Half game, Gerald.
Half game
game.
behind. Thank you for the correction. Half game behind as far as for the Western Conference 3rd place. So that would put the Clippers and the Lakers in the first round matchup. I'd kind of like to see that right now. But then again, if the Lakers fall to 5th, if the Lakers fall to 6th or 7th, that's not a good sign for the team either. So I don't know. I mean, we're going to close this out right now. It's been a great broadcast. But guys, before we head it out, I want to hear your thoughts on what they need to focus on for Sunday. LRob, I'm going to start with you, my friend. I want you to go ahead and tell me, you're always the most cordial and polite, of these guys here. I mean, you've got the 2 squabbling individuals in Jamie and LakerTom all the time. And you got MagicMan, who's like raising his hand half the time because he wants to talk in class. LRob, I want to hear your thoughts on this. What do they need to focus in on Sunday? What do they need to focus in on Sunday and work out that we can start going ahead and get on a roll before the playoffs come? Because as Sean said it, I mean, these rotations need to be fixed ASAP.
Yeah. Well, unfortunately, I don't know if it all can be worked out Sunday. It's just a matter of building chemistry. You gotta incorporate. I mean, you really gotta incorporate Schroeder. I mean, Dennis playing with LeBron, AD, Drummond. You gotta. Those guys gotta build continuity. So it's just execution. Just get used to running your stuff together. I mean, just the basic fundamentals of just running your game plan. I don't really care that much about misses or makes. Just take the right shots, be in the right spots, be in the right spots on the defensive rotations, and just execute. As far as the number of guys, I'm not one to say you got to cut it down to 8. You got enough players. You play 10 players. I think today we tried to play 11. That's one too many. And then you give everybody a little stint, and whoever's playing the best, like LT said, that's what you reward the minutes with in the second half. But it's a matter of, to me, the most important thing is really for Dennis to work with those that feel comfortable. I thought he was trying to be a little too aggressive today. He doesn't need to shoot all those threes. Kind of play like he was playing. Just get other guys together, and then maybe later on in the game, try to get your scoring together. So, I mean, that's probably, to me, the one thing, if I want to see anything, is to see him work well with LeBron and AD back. It's number one for me.
I definitely would like to see that as well, though. 21 turnovers doesn't help the cause either. I know LeBron was 5, and you got to give it to him. Rusty being gone for so many weeks, that was something that was not unexpected. I mean, that's something that you got to go ahead and figure that's going to happen. But the other 16 turnovers, that's just a joke. That's just something that you got to go ahead and realize. Dennis Schroeder completely out of the game for virtually all of it, as far as his attention span, is what was going on. And you guys talk about how is he or is he not worth that type of money as far as a free agent contract is concerned, and it seems to change by the game, which tells me as an overarching theme that he's not. Because if the conversation has to change each and every game, that tells me he's not going to be worth that big money. Is he going to get it? Oh, I'm pretty sure he is, because there's 29 other teams that might want to go ahead and bid on his service as well. But to see the value in it's a problem for me, because of the fact that, again, if we're having this conversation from game to game to game, and it swings like a pendulum back and forth, that tells me that, like we're talking about with Kuzma, it's a consistency. Consistent players should deserve that $25, $30 million a year contracts. Non-consistent players should not. That's why you have the $10 to $20 million ratio. But Sean, before we head on out, I'm not exactly being the life of the party, and I apologize. Maybe it's my remote location. I'm not quite sure. But Sean, my friend, I wanted to go ahead, if you wanted to go pitch what you're doing at LakerHolics.com, or if you wanted to go ahead and talk about what you're looking forward to on Sunday and what the team needs to focus on for a win over the Toronto Raptors, a team that they are noted to have struggles with each and every year.
Yes, Gerald.
At least when they go to Toronto, it's always bad. Because they always play like at 10 o'clock in the morning, seemingly, and it never works out well.
No, it doesn't. And I think other than the Kobe 81-point game, it's been a slog in LA as well. I remember Kobe's last game winner against the Raps. He told DeMar after the game, "You just left me too much time, DeMar." That's all. I'm actually in agreement with Tom, and I agree with Jamie to some extent. I think Schroeder is a similar point guard to Tony Parker in the sense that they both have a Euro style to them, and they both had the same fundamentals kind of dragged into them. The big difference to me is when Tony Parker would enter the paint, he would do a survey. If he didn't like what he saw, he would go out and reset. Dennis doesn't do that. He's a straight line right to the basket. That's exactly where I'm going. And, you tend to get a reputation for that in scouting reports, Gerald. If I know that Schroeder's going to take off from above the break and go straight to the basket, well, where am I going to go, right? I'm going to go right in front and just wait for that charge. So I think Lee's right too, that Schroeder needs advice, good advice from Jason Kidd. and LeBron about, a unique way of getting into the paint that's not north and south. Try east and west. I mean,
Something.
Something. Because, one of the guys who's out right now is Jamal Murray. Jamal was such a versatile paint player. He could go east, west, north, south. Schroeder needs to develop a different counter in the paint. So that's what I'm looking for from Dennis.
Well, I'll tell you what, it's so funny because V Garcia, thank you so much for joining us. He made the comment that my girlfriend jinxed the team. They were winning when she fell asleep, and then she woke up and they lost. All I can say is, V, great to have you here once again, and don't break up with her. V says never. She's a Laker fan. She just jinxed the team tonight. I'm going back to watching them on my own. Maybe that's the smart move for both of you and your relationship as well. So yes, because you never want to come between a good relationship and the Lakers. So you never know who's going to win that one. As I told you in the comments, it's always my mom when she calls me up and says, Gerald, my 87-year-old mom, Gerald, the Lakers are playing so well. And you know what? I hang up the phone and I go, that's the kiss of death right there for you. And usually that's what happens. So yeah, I know where you're going through, V. I know what you're going through. But Admiral Akbar, Mr. Jamie Sweet, who probably if he would have been here on the last episode, would have set up a trap for the Lakers. I want to ask you this. LeBron James is back a little bit sooner than people were expecting, but I am glad he's back. He looked okay. Again, very rusty, but I want to hear your thoughts on what he needs to go ahead and work on for Sunday and going forward.
I want to say LeBron needs to work on actually just being a little more aggressive and not deferring so much to lesser talent, frankly. He's the best player in the game of basketball. Nobody has taken that crown away from him, and until they do, that's how it stands. He's the best player on the team that won the NBA championship last year. And this is the most – he's just come back from the most games he's ever missed in his NBA career, which the previous tie was just 2 years ago, last time Luke Walton was coach of the Lakers, when he missed, I want to say, 18 games, 18 or 19 games, I think it was what it was. But I don't think the answer doesn't lie. LeBron, the reason LeBron's always worth max money is exactly why the point you brought up. Because he's consistent. He is consistently good to great to amazing. And Dennis Schroeder is anything but. All you got to do is look at the stat line for our two starting guards tonight and see 6 for 21, a combined 0 for 10 from 3. Almost more turnover. The two of them couldn't even get a 2-to-1 turnover to assist ratio. So, I've been pretty down on KCP most of the year. You will never have heard me say that Schroeder is worth anything more than $15 million because I don't believe he's maybe even worth that much. He's not even worth that much to me. He's just not consistent. He would be a great backup point guard, and this is something that I talked about in my 5 things that I finally got around to writing today because of a crazy work week. Besides LeBron and AD, these are role players. And many of them don't really feel like they've accepted that as their current reality. You want to go to, Charlotte or Orlando and drop 25 points a game, shoot the ball 20 times. Awesome. I'm sure they'll pay you a lot of money and good luck to you doing it. But if you want to win an NBA championship, you have to learn how to fit in. And, we can't force feed Drummond to make Andre Drummond happy. We can't let Dennis Schroeder act like the best player on the team because he's not. And until the coaching staff figures that out, this season is in jeopardy of being a wasted season. And it'll be blamed on injuries, which won't really be the case. It certainly will have been a huge factor, but I think the bigger issue is that we have guys who want to be more than they ought to be on a championship team that has LeBron James and Anthony Davis on it. Whatever position they play. Like LRob said, Andre Drummond's going to start. And he probably won't be benched for any playoff series whatsoever because he's Andre Drummond. And that's one of the reasons I actually kind of just wish we had kept Damian Jones, because nobody would have cared if we benched Damian Jones. Nobody would have raised a stake. Nobody would have been like, oh, we're wasting, Damian Jones. But when you bench somebody like Andre Drummond, suddenly it's a thing. Suddenly we all got to hear about, like, oh, they picked this guy up and he was the most talented buyout candidate and la 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 la. And it's not rocket science. Like, you got to let LeBron be the best player. You got to let Anthony Davis hit 9 of 19 shots. He hasn't been efficient all year. 1 for 4 for 3. LeBron James shot 50%. He didn't look rusty. He missed the last shot because that was just a terrible play. And as we've said, this team is terrible at coaching plays. Like this, there was one we came out of a timeout after we luckily didn't turn the ball over, and we promptly turned the ball over on an out-of-bounds play. It's just, I thought of your article you posted today, Gerald. When I saw that, I was like, that's exactly the kind of thing that Gerald was posting about. Because, again, like, why is Schroeder taking the ball out of bounds, like, in the absolute corner of the court, the easiest spot to defend? He's the smallest guy on the floor. Like, all of these things to me are mind-boggling. Like, I assure everyone, I'm neither a professional NBA head coach, professional basketball, or have anything to do with the NBA. I'm some guy. This is not hard. We're making it much.
You have a brain. You have a brain.
Listen, don't tell my wife that. She doesn't know. She's convinced. She's convinced I don't, and I want to keep it that way. No, I'm just kidding. Serena, if you ever watch this, I don't mean that. I don't know. I just we're everybody's hitting the nail on the head, and the solution isn't this guy's got to play better, or this guy's got to not be played, or this, that, or the other thing. And to clarify, Marc Gasol did not play in the second half. I just scrolled through the entire third and fourth quarter of the play-by-play. He never subbed in or out. So he only got this. He only got into the game. He only got into the game because Trez got elbowed in the face, and then Trez got through it rest of those minutes. But again, like, why are we giving Taylor Horton 10 minutes? Like, if he's going to play the kid. Same with Ben McLemore. Why are we giving Ben McLemore 15 minutes? Just pick one. THT's got a bright future. Let him have his bright future next year. If McLemore's hitting 3-point shots from all over the court like he was, I don't know. There's so much tinkering going on this season, and it's really starting to become, I feel, even a bigger issue than the injuries have been.
Well, I'm just going to say this with V. Garcia concluded with the statement. Jamie Sweet, thank God we got Frank Vogel and not Luke Walton, because Vogel will tell Drummond, hey, we don't need you in the series. With Luke Walton, I'm just going to say he's, 8 or 9 games away from ending his coaching career as a head coach in the NBA. I loved him as a player, thought the world of him as a guy who really didn't have all the talent in the world, but could do those little things to help you win, and he helped the Lakers win 2 world championships. And I'm so thankful for that. But you obviously see that, when he won so many games with the Golden State Warriors, subbing in for, as coach, and they won so many games under his belt, that was more of the team than it actually was him directing it, because you see what the disaster that happened with the Lakers. And then you've seen what happens now, and this historically bad defense, which makes this loss even more painful to know that you lost to the worst defensive team in NBA history statistically right now. Which
inexcusable. It's inexcusable.
Absolutely inexcusable indeed. But
they played better defense than we did tonight.
Yeah,
that's right.
Oh, God.
That's true. I mean,
they made better substitutions than we did tonight.
That's also true.
That's also true. So
you're getting I'll tell you, you're getting the lighter again.
Well, you know what? And the fact is that right now it was a case of being outcoached by a guy who probably will be fired at the end of the season. And it's just a shame that that's going to continue to take place with Frank Vogel, because he has this under his belt. Before I turn it over to you, LakerTom, Sean, I know you want to go ahead and just say one quick thing before we head on out.
Absolutely, Gerald. Didn't shout him out. Tyrese Halliburton. Man, that kid is going to be one hell of a player. Once he gets that muscle tone, he's going to be pretty much unstoppable. That's all I had to say.
Yeah, I think they're going to have as impressive a rookie as I've seen this year.
I think they're going to have to make up their minds who they want to go forward with. Do they want to go forward with Fox or Halliburton? I know Buddy Hield to do something with him at the end of the day. I know he had a horrible game today, but he's either big time hit or big time miss out there on the court. And at some point in time, they're going to have to go ahead and figure out that rotation between those three. And all right, Halliburton is going to be a heck of a player, and I think that that will be the case. Whether or not it's going to stay on the Kings, we'll wait and see, because nobody wants to stay in the Kings for that long, especially the way they play on a consistent basis. But before we hit you up, LakerTom, V. Garcia, one last thing. Since AD and LeBron are back, y'all think Vogel is just playing with the lineup and seeing who fits where? He's been doing that for months.
Right? Yeah.
For months. This is
how much more play? How much more playing do we think he needs? It's been like.
These rotations, they're not set.
First time LeBron's played with. There's a lot of reasons there.
And I understand, V, that they don't get a lot of practice time. I understand that they don't get a lot of practice time to figure it out. But you could, if you're watching enough NBA games, you can understand rotations. You can understand the way, who's coming in when, at what time. With the Lakers, it's been a situation where, okay, for a week, Montrezl Harrell will come at a certain point in time. And then somebody else will come in at a certain point in time. And then somebody else will come at a certain point in time. It's not consistent. The guys don't even know the rotations and are not even used to it. So, and the thing is, LakerTom talks all about rhythm as far as a basketball player. As a basketball player, you need rhythm in order to go ahead and know what to expect. It's a mental frame as much as it is a physical game. And thing that you have to keep in mind is that the fact that when you're out of the rotation, or you're in the rotation, or you're not sure where you are in the rotation, that's always playing in the back of your mind when you go out there every time you step onto the court. And to see this kind of inconsistency with the rotation still, even now, as we head in less than 10 games into the playoffs, it's quite a concern. But again, we're going to go ahead and see what happens, but there still will be more toying around with the tinkering with the roster as we go forward. But before we head on out, it is the man indeed behind LakerHolics.com. Please be part of the conversation today at LakerHolics.com. And LakerTom, I'm leaving it with you, my friend, before we head on out, on what you're writing about and what you're talking about at LakerHolics.com.
Well, I think first off that one of the reasons that Vogel is screwing around so much with the rotations is because a lot of the guys haven't played with some of the other guys. McLemore's never played with LeBron before. This is the first game. This is the first game that Drummond's played with LeBron. And we all know that without any question, LeBron can make any player a better player. That lob he threw to Drummond was a perfect example of putting a ball exactly where even Drummond could take it and flush it down. But I think that what we're losing track of is the fact that we're running out of time to really get into rhythm and to really start to play together like a team. It's not just that you've got guys going in at different times and so forth. It's who they're playing with, That's a big part of the whole rhythm is who's going to be where, who's going to be able to do this thing and who's going to be able to do that thing, who's going to cover your rotations when you rotate. All of these things are things that happen from practice and repetition. And without practice and repetition, they're very difficult to get done. The whole thing that I keep focusing on is we won a championship last year playing small ball with Anthony Davis at the 5. Why the hell are we going through all of this effort to try to get away from doing that? I can understand it during the long regular season, wanting to prevent him from getting injured, wanting to keep him happy that he's playing the 4. But there is a reason why Dennis Schroeder didn't have a good game tonight. That's because there were no paths for him to attack the rim the way he normally does, because we've got 2 centers in there basically at the same time. And it's clogged up. That's why you didn't see LeBron. LeBron had 1 drive for a layup tonight. THT had 1 drive for a layup. One of the things that I wrote about in the last article I put on LakerHolics.com was all of the reasons why this team is better when they play small ball. To start with, LeBron James and Anthony Davis are better when they have room to operate. And then you've got your 2 point guards, Dennis Schroeder and Talen Horton-Tucker, both of whose games are built around being able to attack the rim. So when you put a non-shooter down there in the low post, you not only stop LeBron and AD, but you also stop Schroeder and Talen Horton-Tucker. Third, you lose a shooter. We shot 7 threes tonight. They shot 12. They got 15 points on us in 3-point shots. So you don't even you take away a shooter like that, it just makes it very difficult, because then what are you doing? You're talking about your 2 superstars only having 2 other guys on the floor who can shoot. And those 2 other guys happen to be, in this particular case, as was pointed out, guards that didn't do the job tonight. And then you got Kuzma coming in so disjointed that he took 1 shot the whole game. 0 for 1 was his box score. And then the other thing is, what is this whole desire to go big? If we play small with Anthony Davis, Marquise Morris, and LeBron James, I'll take that front court against any front court in the entire NBA. They can dish it out and they can bang with anybody. You got 3 guys that are 250-pound guys there, and each one of them is over 7 foot in length. So that's another reason you play small, because small ball for us isn't small. It just means that we've got guys who can fly all over the place and cover and defend. So what it really comes down to in the final analysis is Frank Vogel's got to look at what won the championship last year. And he better figure that out in the next 9 games, or we will be in the play-in tournament. Or we will be playing the Clippers in the first round. We don't want to be in that situation. We don't have to be in that situation. And it starts with setting your rotation based upon your defense, something that I never thought I'd see Frank Vogel shy away from, because Andre Drummond playing center, I have not seen a single set of series where he was making the right moves and everybody was in coordination, and you saw 5 guys flying around the way that we saw that in the playoffs last year, where every rotation was just precise and done exactly with the right timing. Everybody was anticipating what the next play was going to be, and they were making the proper switch and the proper rotations. They were shifting and doing double switches in the middle of the plays. You can't do that with Trez. You can't do that with Andre.
Welcome back, LeBron. Welcome back. Again, it is the Lakers Fast Break. Again, we have LRob, Sean Grice, a.k.a. MagicMan, Jamie Sweet, Admiral Akbar. Should have called that trap game for today. LakerTom. It is the Lakers once again, 110-106 losers against the Sacramento Kings. V. Garcia on the way out. Someone email Vogel LakerTom's article and tell him to get it together. You know what? If LakerTom might just do it himself. LakerTom's the kind of guy, he'll just do it himself. That's for sure. But once again, please check out said LakerTom's article. Check out the great comments from LRob. Check out the awesome historical stuff that MagicMan puts up there. And check out the 5 things pages, plus also some shows from the Lakers Fast Break as well at Lakerholics.com. Plus also, of course, all the great basketball shows that are available right now at the Hoopheads Podcast Network. Well, guys, we will be back. Hopefully all of us, because I like this. If it takes LeBron coming back or me on remote somewhere in Southern California to go ahead and talk to all of you guys, I would like that chance and opportunity, because it's always great when all of us can get together. V. Garcia, thanks for your time in watching us. We truly appreciate and value you and everybody else that watched and commented on today's show. Big shout out to Nancy, Albert, yourself, V, Bree, Marco, DP. Got nothing but love for all of you for watching and listening for today. We want to thank you so much. It is the Lakers Fast Break. You have any questions for us at Lakers Fast Break, wherever you get your social media, at Lakers Fast Break. On Twitter, LakersFastBreak at yahoo.com, and of course at LakerTom as well. Well, once again, it is 110-106, the Sacramento Kings beating the Lakers. We will be back on Sunday, hopefully against the Tampa/Toronto/ we got to be somewhere next year. We're not quite sure where, Raptors. Hopefully we will go ahead and see a victory with LeBron James and everyone else now that LeBron is back in the lineup. Welcome home, LeBron. We're glad to have you back on the court once again.
Gerald, I just want to say real quick, pity the Raptors. Pity the Raptors.
Well, hopefully that they, I don't know.
No, somebody's gonna be PO'd that his homecoming was ruined, and his name is LeBron James, and he's gonna destroy the Raptors. That's what I'm calling.
That slasher tattoo he's working on is prelude. Let's just call it what it is. It's a prelude of what's to come.
Let's hope so. Let's hope so indeed. But once again, we will be back for that game right after it. It is the Toronto Raptors on Sunday, and we'll be back after the game. I want to thank you so much for listening and watching to us right here at the Lakers Fast Break Podcast. Thanks again, everyone, for watching.